Alrighty, there we go. Greetings, folks. This is Laz with NBNN News. I'm here with Winfield today, and we're going to get some questions answered about the new upcoming PaxLair in Release 17. Hello there, Winfield. How are you doing today?
Lazarus, good to be here. Welcome to Valemark here in the Hidden Vale, and this is where we do a lot of PaxLair concept ideas. So that's where we are, and I'm the governor of PaxLair.
Alrighty, well, I'll cover that in a few minutes, but just for the general audience, who are you and what's the connection between you and PaxLair, if you'd tell us?
Sure. So PaxLair is a player town and a player statehood that is over 17 years old. We started in Old Britannia, otherwise known as Ultima Online, in 1998. We have been a continuous running player town in Ultima Online ever since. We're on the Chesapeake Shard of Ultima Online. And I've been the mayor, and then I got promoted to be the governor when we had multiple towns in UO that formed together with us. And we had several towns, we formed a statehood, and then the governor ran it. So
you're going to be a...
Oh, go ahead.
So you're going to be a community here within the game.
That is correct. So from the extreme interest all of us have had in Ultima, for me since 1983, I think it was, 84, all the way through Ultima Online, so many of us are interested in Shroud of the Avatar, obviously, and we are going to be basically running the town here, create a town in Shroud of the Avatar called PaxLair, and we'll continue to run our Ultima Online statehood of PaxLair at the same time with interest in both areas.
Okay, so there's a good history here for PaxLair coming into this game when we go live with it.
Correct, although in episode 1 we are going to be kind of dropped into Shroud of the Avatar from a historical point of view. Not everyone around us will be part of PaxLair initially, and we're going to be settlers. So we're going to create brand new history of the PaxLair in Shroud of the Avatar, and not carry with us all the history from New Britannia, because all that history is still going on there, or Old Britannia, all the history is still going on there.
So sort of like an alternate history type thing here in the New World.
Yeah, I think so. You could probably look at it that way.
As a way of putting it. Now, speaking of PaxLair, that's one of the main reasons for today's Q&A. PaxLair is going to be coming in as the very first player-run town, and it's going to be a metropolis, and it's going to be huge. How has that been going so far?
Okay, so exactly. So over a year ago, when Kickstarter and everything, and then they brought in the ideas of guilds and things, and then I came Kickstartered in, and we formed the idea of, hey, let's build a town. Well, we don't know if there's any mechanics to do that. So over the course of the year, we worked with ideas, just in general, with people, and eventually the developers caught on to ideas that we can have towns, or people can have towns in Shroud of the Avatar. So fast forward now to just a few weeks ago, we were the first, several months ago, we were the first city town purchased, and then we upgraded to a metropolis. And so the developers said, hey, PaxLair, do you want to go ahead and help us test the player-owned town ideas, the development, the design features, the mechanics, before they open it up to all 120, 150 plus town owners to send all their information in for design.
And that's of course
that's why we're in the test.
Of course.
Exactly. So that's why we're in this test for a month, and we're at about the 80% level of our design as if we were to formally submit it. We're still lacking the NPC scripts that I still have to work with them on. What kind of requirements do they have on us for scripting our NPCs and then how I should submit that information.
So when you say you're 80% along, how far along are you in the planning process with the actual physical town itself? NPCs and other little odds and ends aside here. How far along is the actual physical town of its own?
We're 95% there on the actual physical scene. We've got waterfall, we've got lakes, we've got a river, we've got two mountains, we've got the market area defined, we've got an island out in the middle of the bay, and we have our select place where we would like to place it in the overland map. So we're about 95% there on with minor lot adjustments before they bake it into the scene. I just have to know when they're going to commit to this, and then they won't change. They really shouldn't change anything that I've submitted.
Right. Okay.
After that.
And then that brings me on to a couple of other questions I've got for you. Is how have the developers been with the flexibility of the design ideas that you've brought to the table for them? And do you know where in Novia this town is going to be placed when they finally do place it?
So for flexibility, they have limitations. They have to mass produce these player-owned towns quickly to satisfy our main desires for the player-owned towns we purchase. So they have to build templates. So as far as working with me on flexibility, it's basically I've submitted a town scene recommendation, and probably for the most part, they are taking it as is to create a template that can be used for others as well.
Right.
So they gave me a list of things that they could not do in my original submission. Like I had little lots all over the place.
Now that
They
was
said,
a
well,
question.
Let's group those together.
Now
Yeah.
with
They said let's group them together and try to subdivide them from city lots. And
Right.
that's what we're doing now.
Now let's take row houses as an example. Were row houses individually placeable, or do they have to be put in lots of four together? How are they doing that? Do we have an answer for everybody yet on that?
Yeah, we do. Actually, that's what they're testing. That was so with the idea of the templates having city-sized lots that you break apart into the different types of housing you want. Now, there's plenty of we put into the PaxLair scene city-sized lots for the template that way exceed the number you could put in a metropolis. So you have lots of options. You're never going to fill all those city-sized lots with stuff. So for a row house, you have to take the city-sized lot and break it up into row houses, which is 4, 4, 4, and 4
Right.
in a city-sized lot. And they have to snap into the grid of a city-sized lot. So there's limitations, but you don't have to eat up the whole city lot. So you can have passageways through there. But the city-sized lots themselves won't have roads underneath them. They'll have whatever basic ground they're on.
Whatever the biome is for the ground and terrain surrounding area.
Exactly. So our market area, our market square, we've asked them to make that all cobblestone for 4 city lots that are in the market square. And then we'll break up those city lots into a bunch of row houses, a couple of village, and a town lot. And that provides a cobblestone area between the houses within the 4 city lots that we carve up.
Gotcha. Now, another interesting factor that I've come to find out, and we were discussing prior to this, was that PaxLair is going to have scenes within the scene, neighborhoods or outskirts, as it would be within. Could you describe that a little bit for us?
Sure, exactly. So it's being kind of coined the term as a town cluster. So the idea is we have 5 total scenes that'll be part of PaxLair. PaxLair as a town encompasses all 5 of those scenes. The main scene is the metropolis, which will be an icon and an entry point on the overland map. You will go see PaxLair at this location.
Like we
and
see
you'll
Adoris
click on it
or
and
anything
go
else
in.
on the map right now. It'll be seen just like that.
Absolutely, exactly. So once you're in the PaxLair scene, you'll wander around and have hopefully signs and things pointing to places like Lockbriar or Golden Cove or Tennekill or Dragon's Watch, our other 4 scenes. And when you go follow the Yellow Brick Road to get to them, you'll enter a cave and you'll end up in Dragon's Watch, our PvP area. And then that's the only way to get to Dragon's Watch is go through our cave. You may want to get out to Golden Cove and you have to click on the boat on the PaxLair docks, and it'll take you to another scene that is Golden Cove. So that's how these are being connected as clusters. So on the main map, it's one scene for the whole PaxLair town or city as a cluster, and then you can enter other scenes within it that you have to know where they're there or find them, or
Which
it's
is
all
part of the exploration process and the enjoyment of playing such a game, is finding out what's
Absolutely.
available there. I mean, that's what brings us to play these games. Now, of course, the other question
Exactly.
that I tacked on to the end there was, do we know where?
Oh yeah, exactly. So we have requested the northeast quadrant of Novia. So player-owned town owners will be able to request the quadrant, one of 4 quadrants in Novia, and they will do their best to stick you in that quadrant. Then you can refine that as amplifying information of where you want your town to be. So we have our amplifying information is at the just east of Brittany in the northeast quadrant, probably about 7 or 8 hexes over at the Brissac, the mouth of the Brissac River, which is right before a control point as well. So we're in the area where we can walk to Brittany.
Oh, well, that's quite the interesting location. Now, how forgiving have they been with that? Do we know that you're going to be right in that already because you're the test town, or are they still playing with the actual hex at this time?
They have not told me if they've accepted that yet. I'm hoping they'll, being the first, no one else has taken the spot. I've actually given them additional kind of ideas, information of what PaxLair means to Novia, what kind of place we want to be by episode 5 or 4 or 3. We're going to be kind of a diplomatic city. We're very neutral. So we want to be near the capital if possible. So any amplifying information player-owned town owners can provide about their city, in small, prose text that people can read quickly. They're not going to probably have a chance to read pages and pages of information about your town. But it's like, I want to be here because, and here's why. And we did that.
Now, coming up here, you're going to be going to a roundtable discussion, as it's called in the circles here, with the developers, and that's coming up tomorrow, I believe you said?
That's correct. So I'm one of the Lords of the Manor from the original Kickstarter, and we'll be there with Dukes as well. And we'll be up in Austin. I live in San Antonio, so it's only a short drive for me. And I'm able to go up there and enjoy a day with the developers. We'll see Lord British, Darkstar. We'll see the developers, and I'll see, also the other Lords of the Manor and Dukes, and it's going to be a great time.
Well, cool. It sounds like a trip. Let's take a lot of pictures for everybody out there.
Oh, absolutely. My camera will be doing a few snapshots, and I'm sure a lot of people will be posting lots of selfies.
Now, when you get out there to the discussions, let me ask, what are you most interested in talking about at the roundtable discussions? Do you have any particular topics off the top that are on the, inquiring minds want to know?
Well, clearly, my main focus is the player-owned towns, and what I'd like to do at the roundtable is see if Portalarium can offer a discussion portion, 15 minutes or something, about player-owned towns. I think some of the Dukes and some of the Lords of the Manor own towns. Some don't, maybe. But it'll be something about how can we do lots of things with player-owned towns, not just for designing things at the beginning of episode 1, is where are they going to go in future episodes as well. Not for capabilities and tools and things we can do, but how is this going to fit into the culture of Novia and whatever the next continent's going to be, and that's kind of the main thing I'd like to have all of us discuss at the round table about player towns.
So, is there anything really specific that you really want to get uh, answered for yourself?
Oh, I was on strike on April 1st because we did not have fishing in the game yet, and
Ah,
I kept
fishing, yes.
fishing's not in the game yet. So I went on strike on April 1st with a whole bunch of other people in the community. I mean, thousands and thousands of people went on strike yesterday, and mine was because I don't know when fishing's coming in. I think it's going to come in release 75. That's a little late, to get that in.
Now, speaking of fishing, you are well known for your fishing, Jones, and spending quite a bit of time out at the old watering hole. Can you tell us a little about that and what got you started with all that?
All right, so back in Ultima Online, Winfield, my character, didn't really know what he was going to become. So initially, he was a hermit in a little house that still exists in Ultima Online from 1997,
Looks like you've
called
come a
Hermit's.
long way from a little hermit.
Yeah, Hermit's Point, and I had a lot of fishing going on there. It was in guard protected zone, so I could fish in peace without being PK'd constantly. And it basically stemmed from there. It's been a Winfield thing. I personally fish occasionally, but I'm not as emphatic about it as Winfield is.
Gotcha. And now you run an event here in Britannia on a weekly basis, or is it a bi-weekly basis?
It is now weekly. It's on Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Time, right after the PaxLair meetings, which is an hour prior to that. It's called Fishing with Winfield, and we go find a place, a dock, some water, some rocks, and we will, kind of make like we're fishing, but we're not fishing. But it's a haphazard, random gathering time.
I've actually
It's really
attended one of
crazy.
your events, and they're really fun events. Everybody just has a good old time running
Oh,
around,
exactly.
splashing, swimming in the water, which is another thing I really love they brought into this game, which is the swimming feature, which is incredible.
In fact, Striker Hawk behind us here for the White Hart town, but he and I invented the emote, the secret emote, where I give 3 emotes, he gives 3 emotes back, and then we say NFL. That is the Novian Fishing League, which, by the way, I shouldn't say too much. It's a secret fishing league out there that we do and we have secret
Your
handshakes. Who knows
secret's
what will
out
become of
now.
that?
Now,
Well,
standing
no, I'm
behind
sure
us,
everybody listening will keep it secret.
standing behind us is who now? If you would just
All right,
introduce him
so
real quick.
Striker is from Striker's the owner of the White Hart town, and then we have Kazan and Jenny Phoenix Fire, and they run the Phoenix Republic, which is several towns, player-owned towns working together, and so the Phoenix Republic has been a huge influence on the community for events, for ideas, for things like putting together schools, universities to help teach new people how to do things. They've got a lot of great ideas.
Well, that's cool,
And
especially with the teaching involvement that they're going to bring in as sort of a skill or a byproduct of whatever it is. There'll be certain things that can only be taught by people who have the ability to begin with. Any insider information about that we know of?
about the university or the stuff they're going to teach.
The teaching, yes. Not
Well, I
something
think
I
the
was
first
originally going
thing.
to touch on, but I just figure.
No, it's fine. I think that the first thing they're going to teach are 4 courses in fishing. I've talked to all of them, and I said I totally recommend fishing 101, 201, 301, 401. Then you can work on all the other stuff people are interested in. No, I'm just kidding.
We can see what your
So
priorities are.
there you go. No, they have a full spectrum of things they want to teach, as far as I understand. Everything from how do you do wooden crafting. They're a very market oriented republic as well, very economy. How are things going to link together across Novia, where they can have a real inspirational economy feeding across the continent. So there's everything to teach about that. There's teaching about how to even do diplomacy. How do you be a diplomat? They could have a course on that. So it's
Oh,
full
that's
spectrum,
good
I
to
think.
hear. And I invite these gentlemen to get in touch with me, of course, as well. And I'd love to sit down and do a one-to-one with anybody else out there who has a player-owned town, has interest or an event going on out there. Let's get back to your town here. It's coming up here. We've talked about the placement and what they've done so far. Um, we talked about how far along you've been with the layout. Now, do you have a finished layout? I know there was a website that we were talking about earlier, and I took a peek at where there is a finished layout where people can actually go and look at what your designs are. And if so, can you give it to us?
Sure. So it's on the Shroud of the Avatar main forums, the public forums. It's in the town hall forum, so everybody can
All
get to
right.
that. You don't even need to log in to read this. I mean, everybody in the world can see this.
Well, I'll go ahead and I'll add a link afterwards so that people who read
Yeah.
this
So
later
town
on can look at it
hall.
also.
Yeah, I would never be able to read you the link, but it's town hall, player-owned towns, a sub-forum, and then you look for PaxLair test for release 17 as one of the main threads.
And then my big and final question, what's it feel like to be the person with the very first test player-owned town, especially with it being a metropolis the size of what it is and what it's going to be in this game?
It's a roller coaster ride where you reach the top of that hill and you start screaming down towards the bottom with new ideas and working with developers and community and throwing something out that you don't know how people are going to react, and it's scary when you're screaming at the top of your lungs towards the bottom, and then you kind of go, oh, people understand what I'm saying. Oh, they kind of like what we're doing, or the devs kind of like what it is, but I understand it. And then you climb back up to the top, and then you throw out more ideas for the test. And here's how my NPCs want to do. And you're screaming all the way to the bottom, wondering if you're on track. And then you climb back up. So it is a exhilarating ride for about 4 weeks. That'll take them to do this. They're going to interact with us enough and with the community. I've already put out our information to the community. I've got more to put out to where I've already changed today where some of the lot placement needs to be because I want to work with the community on how the community can test this. And so I said, well, let's change some of the lots around so the community can test things a little better
Hmm.
in R17. And they're very amenable to do that because everything's not baked in for a few more weeks.
Now, last but not least, um, government. I'm under the understanding that there is a very intricate government in place here for PaxLair. Do you want to tell us a little about it and how you plan on governing and running the town?
So the overall government is there's a governor, and I'll probably have two mayors. And the reason I'll have two mayors is I would like to find two people who are willing to help lead PaxLair in multi-spectrum, real-world town kind of focus, totally immersible, uh, on Eastern Hemisphere and Western Hemisphere in the real world. So we can run a 24/7 operation worldwide, and PaxLair residents don't have to be East Coast United States kind of thing. They can be anywhere in the world, and they can kind of work for or work with one of the two mayors. And then I would kind of guide things as the governor. Those mayors will be appointed by me, and I'll kick them out if I don't like what they're doing or the people don't like what they're doing. So it'll be a bit of an oligarchy kind of thing. That's the way we've done things in Ultima Online for 17 years. We haven't not had democracy voting kind of thing. This is a club. You got to have leaders. We take input from people and we make the best decisions for everybody as best we can. That's
Ah,
how the player government will pretty much work.
sounds like you've got a pretty well established thing going here.
We do, and we're going to leverage off the things that we've succeeded in doing, player wise as well as role playing. PaxLair number one is a role playing environment, totally immersive in a realistic town government. So we'll need guards, we'll need people to bake and cook, we'll need the furniture store, We'll need, the grievance people want to take things to court. We're going to do all of that.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun stuff and a lot of stuff for us to all look forward here in Britannia. Let me ask you, any parting thoughts before we separate on this interview here? Again, you're going to be going to the roundtable tomorrow, and I'd like to invite you back afterwards for a follow-up interview to see how everything went.
Sure, absolutely. After the roundtable would be great. Parting comments on this test and release 17. The PaxLair scene, I'm going to open up as much as possible for other player-owned town owners to be officers or co-owners of PaxLair so they can try it out as if they were owners. And we're going to be testing, kicking people off lots and moving people around. I don't know, the magic orders aren't in the game yet. So I want the release 17 test to be something the community can really participate in, not just the PaxLair people. We're not going to role play PaxLair. We're just going to have fun with it. There's going to be tons of events probably rolling out the first baked in, scene into the game for player-owned towns. That's great. We'll need a lot of news support for that and a lot of events. People will cook up, and then once we do all that, then I've asked that the PaxLair scene be also placed as player-run towns, totally open, so people can experience a new template in other places in Novia and other places in Hidden Vale. So not only if you want to play in the scene with the castle and the keep and whatever else is put on there, you don't have to come to PaxLair. You can go to Novia, some other place, and it might be called, Dragon Wind or something. And you go in there, and it looks like the PaxLair scene just rotated 90 degrees. Have fun with it. Beat it up.
I see what
it's
you're
all
saying.
part
Yep.
of the test.
Yep.
It's all
Yep.
part of the test.
Basically, we want it to be a very good stress test for what's to come down the pipe for the future of the game.
Absolutely. This is the time that we can do it. It'll be the only time we can really do it as a full-up test, and that's why, I'm honored to help be in this test and bring in as many of the community as we can.
Well, I think we're all going to be looking forward to what comes in Release 17 here. I'm going to go ahead and thank you for your time this evening here, Winfield. I think we've got a lot of ground covered, and a lot of people are going to be interested to hear what you had to say here. And I look forward to doing the follow-up and seeing what happens when we bring this live in R17 here on Shroud of the Avatar.
Sounds great, Lazarus. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not a problem. You have a good night, and we'll catch up with you later on. I'll try and catch up with you fishing here one of these days.
We'll be glad to have you. You can. There's lots of news going on there as well. Lots of ideas.
Alrighty, folks, and that's it for the interview tonight. This was Laz live with Winfield of PaxLair, and we're going to go ahead and do a follow-up when he comes back from the roundtable, find out if there was any interesting news to come out of Portalarium. This is Laz with NBNN News, signing off.